It's when they consider your entire application, or in other words, consider you as an entire person, right? The most misconceptions that I get from these students is well, don't you just need straight A's and a high SAT score? No. Tell them, imagine a university with only book smart people. So the university is looking for diversity. They're looking for well-rounded students. And it's not just about the grades. You could have a 4.5 and a 2400 on your SATs, but if you don't do anything, the university isn't going to look at you as favorably as compared to someone else with maybe a lower GPA or a lower SAT scores, but does other things, and that's probably why they could have less time to study or less time to just do academics. Or generally with freshmen, I like to do this because just to give them ideas on how to get involved in stuff. You could be okay, so what can make you comprehensive, right? So you could have in-school things, and what are in-school ways you could, extracurriculars? Clubs? What was it? Clubs. Clubs, right? And someone will throw out clubs, and then you could be okay, so does your school have a leadership club? And they'll be yeah, who's in that? Some people raise their hand. And just throw out random clubs, cooking club, anime club, ASB, things like that, just to get them to start thinking, oh, that sounds interesting, or oh, I'm already in that club. I'm already one step closer to being more comprehensive, right? What other in-school? Sports. Sports, right? So you could ask them athletes, raise your hand, oh, and then ask them, what do you play, or whatever, right? Some students might volunteer and be after school and do TAing or helping librarians, do book stuff, or stay after class and help coach their teams or whatever. That's kind of sports, but TAing, random stuff, things like that are in school. And then so we could also go outside of school, extracurriculars. What other suggestions can you give them or ideas?
Volunteering.
Volunteering, and that's community service, right? So that's outside of school. So what other things are outside of school?
Boys and Girls Club.
Boys and Girls Club. I also heard work. And that's always really important if they don't mention work to put work on here for them and tell them this is considered an extracurricular, because extracurricular just means anything outside of your curriculum, your academic curriculum. So if you're spending time working, that is an extracurricular, and that shows that you're out there, you're being responsible and being independent and maybe working on your own. Things like church. And then also I always throw in okay, well, how many of you just have to go home after school and take care of your siblings or help your family with chores and stuff? Do you think that's an extracurricular? Of course it is, right? Because you're spending time helping out your family, helping out your parents, because a lot of these students might have parents have to work a lot of jobs or whatever, and that they might feel bad because they don't have time to play sports after school or stay after schools for club meetings. So make sure that you be inclusive of those students too. So these are ways to be comprehensive, right? And it also is a reflection of how many resources are available to them around their school or their community. We don't want students to get into this kind of thinking though that oh well, my school sucks, or there's nothing offered here at this school, because we will go to schools like that. So other part of comprehensive review is that the university doesn't compare students to other students that have way more resources than them. And a good way to exemplify this is you ask them, okay, you're in school X right now. How many AP classes or how many sports do you think your school offers? Choose one category. And they'll be okay, whatever, 10. And then you'll be okay, what's a private school around there here? And they'll be okay, school Y. And then how many AP classes do you think school Y offers? You'll be 30. Well, make sure you pick a big number, because usually it's true that private schools have more AP classes or more sports or more anything, right? And so you say, okay, say you decide to take 7 out of your 10 AP classes by the time you apply to college, and another student at school Y takes also 7 AP classes out of 30 AP classes offered. Which student do you think the university looks better or will like more? Or looks better to the university?
X.
X, right? Why?
Because you take advantage of more of the resources.
So student X took more advantage of the resources. Out of 10, they took over 50% of those classes available to them. But student like at school Y only took also 7, which is like equal, right? But that's out of 30 AP classes that were available to them. So that shows that the university that the students tried harder, challenged themselves more, and took more advantage of those resources. Get them out of the thinking that they're going to be compared to students of other schools that are way more resourced, way more funded, way more supported, and that they'll be compared to students like them. They'll be compared to students sitting right next to them, or students in another school exactly like theirs. But don't be discouraged and don't be lazy, because as long as they try, like I wholeheartedly believe that all students that want to go to college can, and we're there to help illuminate that path for them. And that's like comprehensive review. So usually after a comprehensive review or at any point, like, and it does happen, the students will get bored and they'll look at you with like, oh my gosh, I want to like not be doing this right now or whatever, or some students will be falling asleep, or the energy will just be really low in the class. And so at this point we like to do energizers because that's really important to get them focused and energized. And bring your own style, bring your own ideas, but keep them short because we want to spend most of the time outreaching. But suggestions for energizer is like quick fix, retreat day for intern retreat.